Los Angeles has seen nothing like it in decades. A military-style operation ordered by Donald Trump to stem protests over controversial immigration policies that have exploded onto the streets for the past 2 days. You are looking live at Los Angeles right now. The U.S. president has called up members of the California National Guard to bolster local law enforcement, and that's what you're seeing at this moment. This is a power not invoked in Los Angeles since the infamous Rodney King riots of 1992. Let's turn to journalist Steve Futterman, who is in downtown Los Angeles near that very building that we're showing you. This is a different perspective of that live shot we just showed you, where the National Guard have been spotted, where they are setting up shop. So, Steve, bring us up to speed. It has been a volatile weekend, to say the least, in Los Angeles. Where do things stand right now?
Well, absolutely. You can see behind me, these are some of the first National Guard troops that have been deployed here in Southern California. We expect around 2,000 members of the National Guard to eventually be deployed. And this is the downtown Roy Ball building. Behind me is, and around me is where some of the confrontations were taking place late last night. In fact, if you look at some of the walls behind me on either side, you can see lots of very explicit graffiti attacking ICE officials. But these are the National Guard troops, which we're going to see here for probably the next week or so. Now, let's go back to what's happened the last 24 hours. It's been a very tense 24 hours. Lots of confrontations in various areas. We talked about the confrontations last night. Approaching midnight, past midnight, there were people going after the law enforcement officials, throwing rocks, lots of chanting, lots of flashbangs being used, the tear gas, pepper spray. Now, earlier yesterday in Paramount, California, near a Home Depot center, there was another major confrontation. Protesters thought that the authorities were going to go after some of the day laborers who often gather at the Home Depots. We don't know if they were actually going to do that, but it got the protesters very upset. There were many confrontations there as well. Finally, the sheriff's department moved in and cleared them out. Now let's listen to some of the protesters who are very upset with these raids. That's what's prompted all of this, these raids to pick up people who are in the U.S. illegally and deport them.
It is a beautiful day of resistance because Trump, the administration, the Border Patrol, ICE, they know that they cannot go anywhere in this country where our people are and try to kidnap our workers, our people, and they can't do that without an organized and fierce resistance.
They're human beings just like any of us. We're Hispanics. We help the community. We help by doing the labor that people don't want to do.
This is the only way that the government is going to hear us. Whether we get hurt, whether they gas us, whether they throw whatever they're throwing at us, they're never going to stop us. All we have left is our voice.
So that is the opinions of lots of the protesters. And again, we don't know what's going to happen today. There is a rally scheduled not far from here at City Hall. Sometimes these rallies turn into additional confrontations. We've heard of no raids by ICE officials today, and we've heard no apparent confrontations yet today either, but it's still very early.
You know, at the beginning, Steve, I referenced the 1992 riots, and then the National Guard had to be brought in at that time. But you'll recall, as well as any of us, that at that time, the parameters were different. The mayor, the governor of the state, and the president of the United States were all on the same page that the riots had to be brought under control. You don't have that situation this time around. In fact, California's governor this time, Gavin Newsom, has specifically been very critical of the president for doing so, calling these actions inflammatory and saying the president is going over the governor's head. But the president not backing down. He's not a man known for doing that. And he says he's prepared to go even further if necessary. What does that tell us?
Well, you're right. I mean, I covered the 1992 Rodney King riots in this area here, and it was a much larger footprint. I mean, all parts of Los Angeles were really under threat. The rioting, the looting taking part in really all areas of Los Angeles. Here you have 3 or 4 hotspots. The downtown area near the courthouse. We had Paramount, California yesterday, and then maybe a bit to my right, the Chinatown area. But this has not been all throughout the city. You don't have Los Angeles, all of LA under fear. So it's an interesting point you bring up, but it looks like obviously the troops are here. Now today on the Sunday talk shows, the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, defended the move. He said bringing the Guard in is a good idea.
I have no concern about that at all. I think the president did exactly what he needed to do. These are federal laws. We have to maintain the rule of law, and that is not what is happening. And Gavin Newsom has shown an inability or an unwillingness to do what is necessary there. So the president stepped in. That's real leadership, and he has the authority and the responsibility to do it.
And he does have the authority to do it under some very old laws, the Insurrection Act. There could be some legal challenges, but I think it's going to be very difficult to legally force the National Guard out. Now, there has been, in addition to the National Guard, some suggestions today by Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, that maybe the Marines should be sent in. And Gavin Newsom, who you heard mentioned there, let's take a look to his response to that. He said the Secretary of Defense is now threatening to deploy active duty Marines on American soil against its own citizens. Newsom is just inflamed by all that, says that would be a big mistake. Hegseth has actually responded to Newsom. You can look there. Hegseth saying that, we're trying to talk about Marines coming in to help protect you, and you're saying no to it. So there's a bit of a back and forth between the Trump administration, members of the administration, Trump, and also now Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, and Gavin Newsom. And it's going to be very interesting, Natasha. One thing that people are wondering, is Donald Trump doing this to make L.A. an example? Obviously, his relationships with Newsom, the governor, Karen Bass, the mayor, the senator from this area, Adam Schiff, who was on the impeachment committees, those are not close relationships. And there are some people who feel that Trump may be doing this intentionally, making L.A. an example. And if that's the case, the next week is going to be very, very tense indeed.
Journalist Steve Futterman in Los Angeles. Thank you, Steve.